Welcome to On the Nine. I'm Mylan Emery. I got a beautiful young lady on this Aloha Friday, Krista Whitley with CBD Caring. Now, you have an interesting story, and I've been kind of blown away just reading about you. You're an entrepreneur right here in Las Vegas, correct?
Yeah, I've been based in Las Vegas for a couple decades now.
Wow. So did you go to a high school out?
No. I actually grew up in a really small town in the Yakima Valley in Washington State,
Uh-huh.
um, and came to Vegas as fast as I could hit the fabulous neon lights after high school. And I loved it. I thought it was my village and my people, and I love everything about the culture and the community here.
Right. And, obviously Las Vegas is always growing and, with adding, the NFL and Vegas is becoming crazy. Don't you think?
It really is, and I have always been a longtime ice hockey fan. I feel like, the tipping point was really, the Vegas Golden Knights
Yeah.
has really helped to unify us. And I think Raider Nation is going to continue to do that. And, it's such an exciting time, to be able to be at these first few games where we're finally having professional athletics in the community. It's just an exciting time.
It is. So you're from Washington, now here in Las Vegas. Entrepreneur. My thing is that we're a Hawaii based kind of show, but hearing your story, your relation to Hawaii, can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, Alfred Apaka, a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my goodness, the Elvis of Hawaii, as growing up, that legend. My mom is an Apaka, and was both my parents were military brats. So she did her time on Hickam Air Force Base. My grandfather was career Air Force pilot, served in Vietnam, was a CAM grad, a UH grad as well.
Wow.
I spent a lot of time being made fun of, for being the Howley stateside cousin. I have family, my grandfather was one of a huge family, and Jeffrey Apaka was at first, Alfred Apaka was a first cousin. Jeffrey Apaka has been a wonderful blessing in my life and has been a longtime leader in the music community in Honolulu. And, so I'm very blessed to be able to consider Hawaii a second home. And, certainly that music has always, I think we were one of the few families in a small farming community that had such deep ties and would be playing Alfred Apaka as my mom, that and the Beach Boys as she cleaned the house. So there you go.
You can tell, man. You have that aloha spirit about you, and I love it, man. You such have that. You have that positive energy. Now, coming to Las Vegas and becoming an entrepreneur, and in the CBD game, how'd you get into the CBD? Carrying.
Yeah, it started actually over 5 years ago. I was a single mom. I still am. I have two girls. They're now 12 and almost 11.
Wow.
But at the time, my oldest daughter, Bella, had severe eczema. She's had it her entire life. And I just knew there had to be something other than steroid creams and prednisone that she was constantly on. And, my dermatologist and my physician friends all agreed with me, there's got to be a better solution to this that isn't going to damage her skin. And so that's really how I started. I was on my couch as a single mom and started in my kitchen, formulating, investigating ingredients, playing with things. And what I really landed on, I was an actual DARE grad who believed everything they told me about the Apakaloa. Growing up, my cousins, my mom would make sure that, I didn't partake of anything that was on their windowsill. A lot of that, I think, generationally, a lot of my aunties, really reinforced that, oh gosh, you don't want to do that. You'll lose your ambition. It's dangerous. And as I really researched the healing effects of how CBD, when put on skin, helps skin to retain moisture, it helps it to minimize inflammation. Those are two things that if you're dealing with eczema, are huge issues. And so, of course, for my daughter, I tried out a multitude of different things, concoctions, mommy mixes in my kitchen, and ultimately landed on our best-selling product. It's still one of our best sellers today. It's called our Bella Crema Elegante. So it's an elegant cream. And, today we have 450 different products sold in 118 countries. So it's been a huge blessing to be able to not only heal her and give her her confidence back, but to be able to help so many people who are really struggling with having confidence in their own skin.
Wow. Now, I mean, just in your kitchen, you're just kind of formulating. I'm just kind of picturing, pacalolo on one side, mixing a little, I don't know, egg cream. I mean, how do
It
you?
was, yeah. I mean, a lot of it was really researching, a lot about the ingredients. Let's start with, okay, what is in this product that I'm getting at the drugstore? Then talking to my dermatologist friends and buying more premium ingredients. Okay, what is it about this ingredient? And figuring out where do you track those down? It was a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and then just frankly that mommy tenacity, right?
Right,
I had a daughter who was going to summer camp and being teased for being the girl with dragon skin.
right.
And hilariously, the only time her eczema does not flare up is when we're in Hawaii. So my options were like relocate, to Hawaii, which I wish, that's my dream someday. Or, try and find something that would help her skin to retain that moisture and not have such a reaction, because the desert here in Las Vegas is so hard on everyone's skin, whether you have allergies or not. And, finding that. So it was very much like, that mommy tenacity with a big, stove pot and, cooking things up and seeing what would work. And, I always joke, people ask, do we test any of our products on animals? And heaven's sake, we start right at home, even with some of our new innovations. And, the guinea pigs are the people on my team and my own family. And we know that, if it makes it through that first wave, then we can actually send it out to the pros to be tested.
Well, you talked about pets. I have a dog that really has dry skin, so we use, baby oil, just trying to, kind of get out. I mean, maybe do you have a product for pets? Because, pet owners are, they're like their babies, they're kids. And maybe, I don't know if you have a product for that or not.
Absolutely. We certainly, and I am a huge pet lover. For years, we actually just rescued a kitten during quarantine, like in the last 2 weeks. So we are huge animal lovers. Right now, all of our products on CBD Caring are entirely topical. So we don't do anything that is an oil or capsule or anything that's consumed, but there's some fantastic products out there. One that I recommend all the time that has a great pet following, and I give to my own Chihuahuas, Nacho and Cerveza. They're just older and they get, hey, we all get stiff in our old age.
Right.
I give to them is Dr. D CBD. And you can go right to drdcbd.com and he'll ship right to your house, all 50 states. And Dr. D is actually based right here in Las Vegas. He is a doctor. It's doctor formulated, doctor recommended, doctor tested. It's wonderful products. So if you're looking for anything that's going to be consumable, we always recommend his products because they're just such high quality.
Wow. Man, you're doing such amazing things. I mean, now, starting off, was it a challenge to, get the product out? I think I saw something with Kevin O'Leary. He said you're the real deal, the guy from the Shark Tank.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
It's so funny. I come from such a small town, right? That, a lot of times people say, oh, you need to dream bigger. I watch these Gary Vaynerchuk videos. I think we all do on Facebook, right? And he's always like challenging us to think big. I think that that's really easy to say when you live in a more metropolitan place. I come from a really small town. Certainly Vegas opened my eyes. It was amazing. I love all the neon and the fast pace here. But I have to say, I have had the experience in my career of working with Snoop Dogg and being able to accomplish a lot of things that I never in a million years could have even dreamed of. So, I think I very genuinely have exceeded my own dreams. And now the challenge is not only how can I dream bigger, but how can I give back in a bigger way? And how can we make an even bigger difference in the lives of the people that we're serving?
Mm-hmm. Man, it's just it's like a dream. You kind of nurture this baby and then taking it by step by step, and then I'm sure you had a lot of no, we're not interested, or how'd you overcome that?
So growing up, I was actually a cheerleader, and in a small town, it literally is just like, it's just like the whole bright lights, of a small town. The whole town comes to the football game, and we were terrible. And my dad was the head football coach. And so I think the best lesson from that, of getting our asses kicked, you know, in the cold winter weather and having to be out there. And it's not like I could stop smiling, right? I had to keep cheering even when we were down 30 points, right?
Right.
The best lesson from that was to keep going, and that tenacity of you just keep going no matter what. And oftentimes I think people get distracted by the highlight reels of other people. They get so distracted by the awards and all of that. And I actually think awards are terrible at teaching us anything. You know, for us, our organization's won over 35 awards in over 5 years. But to me, it's all the failures, right? It's all of those 100+ formulations that we had to go through that actually gave me a rash and I was itchy for a week, right? Like, we're not using that ingredient, right? Or it's, you know, failing forward. You know, we're just failing forward, I think, with enthusiasm constantly. And I find the best skill that I've had as an entrepreneur is that experience of literally standing out there shivering for 9 games in a season, and getting our ass kicked and having to smile through it, because so much of being an entrepreneur and anybody who's out there innovating and blazing a trail is you just have to embrace that you're going to fall forward, and it has to be about learning those lessons, building on those lessons, and not being scared to really swim in the deep end and learn as you go.
Wow. I mean, you know, just talking with you right now, you're inspiring me. I mean, is there any way that you know see you on like a TED Talks or? I'm serious. You're literally becoming almost like a mentor to me. Is to kind of, you know, to push forward and just to understand that, you know, the trials that you've been through and the process that you went through, and with that beautiful smile, and it just carries you. And then being a cheerleader, you're always peppy. I love it, you know. And it's like, man, you know, by people kind of learning or just seeing you, you know, every day can kind of set that, you know, that pace, you know.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it is, you know, learning by example. I remember in my 20s, you know, I was living in downtown, in the Ogden, you know, kind of that start of the downtown project.
Yeah, yeah,
And there was a huge pressure because, you know, at that time, you know, Tony Shea was leading all these downtown talks, and he had all these leaders, and, you know, it was great. I mean, we were in a double wide trailer, but, you know, here was this visionary leading this, you know, reinvention of downtown Las Vegas. And I remember, you know, being very caught up in, oh my gosh, what would my TED Talk be? Like, that was the thing to ask someone, right? Like, so what's your TED Talk going to be? And, you know, it's so funny because I feel like, you know, there was this huge pressure to come up with a really brilliant answer. And actually, it was a friend of mine who coaches other TED Talk speakers, who said, just keep leading an interesting life, and you'll figure out very clearly what your answer will be. And I have to tell you, you know, I just turned 40 a couple months ago. I still don't have, thank you. I don't have a great answer for that, you know, but I will say I'm just continuing to every single day take advantage of doing things I've never done before, challenge myself, and just lead an interesting life. And, you know, I find for me, it's less about you know, whatever my message is, and more about, you know, my daughters who are 12 and almost 11, and, you know, making sure that they're seeing me blaze these trails, and making sure that they are encouraged and inspired to go out and do whatever it's going to be that they want to do. And I think that's really important. You know, I think whether you have kids or not, it has to be about, you know, what are you going to do that's going to inspire the next generation? Because, you know, very much like, you know, people talk about, you know, my great uncle who passed away, I have to tell you, you know, long before I was even a twinkle, I think, in my parents' eyes,
Right.
you know, it definitely was a very bright light to have this amazing legend. And if someone in your family can accomplish that, you know, I can't sing. I'm terrible at it. So I knew I wasn't going to be, you know, a singer. But, you know, he can leave such an impact in his, you know, using his skills. What can I do in my life? And I firmly believe everyone has something to give to the world. And when you figure that out and you do as much of that as possible, great things happen.
Wow. You know, you talked about kids and you're raising your kids here in Las Vegas. Is there any like obstacles that you have kind of encountered, you know, growing, you know, being a mother, single mother here in Las Vegas? And, you know, it just, Vegas is just 24-hour action, every day. I mean, what's the challenges on that?
I have to say, I think no matter where you are, right? If my girls were growing up on a, 100-acre farm in Montana, or if they're growing up, here in the suburbs in Las Vegas, I think there are challenges. And, I know living in downtown with them, certainly, we had to broach the topic of talking about homelessness and safety on downtown streets, right? Because they would literally walk out and we'd be walking to a breakfast place.
Right.
And there would be people who'd be asking for money. So we had to talk about the cycle of poverty, and we had to talk about those things very early on. And I think that if anything, it has helped the girls to really see the world as a very big place. And we're very lucky, the girls march in the Pride Parade. I'm so proud our company won for the best Pride float the last couple of years.
Hey,
Yeah, and I have to say, growing up, I had never certainly knew anyone who was part of the LGBTQ plus community until I moved to Las Vegas. And I loved that. I was like, oh my gosh, tell me more, right?
Right.
Because everything I knew, was either Catholic or Protestant. They all got married. They stayed together forever.
Right.
It was a very, vanilla existence. And I think that's one of the great things about Las Vegas. My girls are marching in Pride Parade and, talking about acceptance very openly. And, I think I'm really proud of that because I think, Las Vegas, no matter where you fall in the spectrum of your personal core beliefs and vision and values, I'm so proud to be raising my girls in a very diverse community.
Yes.
Where they are exposed to people of all different lifestyles and backgrounds, of all different cultures, and they're able to have that conversation so they feel very comfortable in developing their own views.
Well, on my end is like I got my two babies, twin boys, and they just turned 17. But the thing is that they always tell me, Dad, Vegas, why didn't we grow up in Hawaii? Because they see the surf, they see their cousins, they see the beach, they see girls, what I mean, a different culture. So I just had to ask that question because I had this conversation with my kids earlier this week, and they're literally, how come we didn't move to Hawaii? I was like, well, the opportunities are obviously here in Vegas because Hawaii is such a beautiful place, but yet it's still far away, meaning financially.
Oh heavens. And and I remember growing up certainly stateside, and I have one of my cousins, her Hawaiian name starts on her bracelet with a P and ends with an A all the way around, right?
Right.
And I remember I was so the fact that my name is Krista Nicole, I was like, I didn't get a Hawaiian name. And of course at the time my parents who were military brats and had lived around the world, they intentionally chose a small town and they intentionally gave me this name that was the whitest thing ever, right? And so I remember being so disappointed. I have to say, both my girls have Hawaiian middle names, Keana and Lokalane. And that was, my own personal, if I didn't get one, by God, you're going to get one. And now, of course, they're both dirty blondes with blue eyes. They need SPF 50. So, so it's been really important to me to teach them about that heritage and just, that aloha spirit. Because it's something that certainly is part of the core values that I was raised with.
Mm-hmm. Now, being a military brat, traveling around, was that hard on you? Because I'm a military brat as well,
so I wasn't. So my parents actually met in college. Yeah. So my parents actually met in college. They were military brats. They both traveled the world. So my mom would tell me stories about, spending time in Hong Kong. And my dad was actually born in Okinawa, didn't move to the States till he was 5.
Wow.
We were very exotic for growing up in the Yakima Valley, right? And then of course, I was the hated kid because I'd come back from summer vacation and, they'd make you stand up in class and say, oh, what did you do this summer? And I would say, well, I had to go to Kauai and then my aunties and, every day we were at the beach and all my poor friends were like, I went to Montana for a family reunion, right? So it was definitely a different, experience, but it was also a really great experience for me. Because, Hawaii has so many amazing things around, teaching natural homeopathic medicine. And my heavens, my great aunties always had this awesome avocado tree. The avocados were the size of grapefruits, right?
Yeah.
And so avocado pie. Like, try explaining avocado pie to a bunch of people in like a farming community. And so, there was so much that I got. And I think, my desire and my passion for natural remedies and tapping into plant medicine really goes so much above and beyond just CBD. It's really about how can we use things from the earth to help heal, and I think also to just help improve people's lives. We're in such an immediate culture where I have a problem, I want to take a pill, and I want a solution.
Right.
And if we can teach people, how to do that with natural plant medicine, that's what I get so excited about.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much, always, people, Las Vegas, they come to Las Vegas, obviously, a lot of seniors, and, and for me, taking meds and stuff like that. And we're trying to look for more of a homeopathic or, herb kind of thing, and trying to get off the pills. And you're explaining that. Now you going into $1 billion business, how you say, resume. I mean, how do you, as a female, how do you take on that,
You just do. I have to tell you, I feel like the number one question that I'm asked all the time, and I think oftentimes, for me, certainly my heritage drives a lot of that. It's my grandfather grew up in the Hanalei area of Kauai, and was accepted to Kamehameha. He was the only one of his brothers and sisters that went to CAM, and those days, you didn't get to come home very often. It's not like they had a lot of money for travel, and so I think about that fear, right, of like, can you imagine going from the Hanalei area going to CAM in those days? My goodness. And just you really have to go out on faith, and I think you also realize this huge amount of just opportunity to change the story and break that cycle for your entire family, right? And I certainly, on my dad's side, my mom, my grandma was she's from Okinawa, and moving to the US, not necessarily knowing a ton of English with a 5-year-old, and then putting him into Southern California schools. So I feel like I come from a long line of people who faced fear for the sake of moving their families forward. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, there's no secret to waking up every morning and putting one foot in front of the other and doing it and doing the best you possibly can with what you have. And I think that, the unfortunate part is I think we don't necessarily recognize, those that every day in America, like whether you're a mom or you're a dad or you're just a person on your own, you're waking up and you're doing the best that you can. And a lot of times in these really crazy times like this pandemic, the best you can do is get out of bed, take a shower, and like move forward. Mm-hmm. And sometimes forward is just getting through the day. Sometimes forward is just like, oh my gosh, I've had enough of the news and turning it off, right?
Right.
Sometimes forward doesn't have to be this monumental, I built this crazy thing, because what people fail to see behind any big business that's been built from something is there was all these tiny little footsteps. There was all these mornings where I was like, oh my gosh, I have more I can't believe it stories than I have, amazing epiphanies. And I think that's really, important, is, to really just recognize that we're all just doing the best we can every day.
I'm just gonna go in circles, man, because you know what, I see you, as one of those people that can just wake up in the morning and inspire people by just you talking, And,
I have my bad days too. And I have to say, as a woman in this industry, I mean, even just this week, there definitely is a level of sexism that I think any female leader, it doesn't matter if you're middle management, CEO, board member, I don't care. Any woman who is leading, even when you're being as professional as you possibly can, it is inevitable that you will face just things that will make your jaw drop. This week, I was going back and forth in a very professional manner with a CEO of a vendor that we had. And he didn't like the answer. I don't know what else to tell him. I mean, the answer is the answer. But he didn't like that. And there immediately, it was like a switch flipped, and he started calling me fat and started, names. I know, right? And I was like, and I thought to myself, there is no way, if I was a man, there is no way this guy is going to come at me like that. And it's unfortunate because, it really, reflects obviously his character, but I think it's the experiences. And I think that's, the conversation that we're now having around race and racial identity and how people are treated differently. It certainly is a demonstration of, what people think they can get away with.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, when you haven't necessarily been on the receiving end, I was gobsmacked. There's no comeback to like, well, you're fat. I was like, I'm going to carry on doing business. Thank you. I think my response was something like, work through it with your therapist, right? But we're not going to work. I'm not here to be your mom. So we're going to keep carrying on doing business, and that's how life's going to go. But I think that's some of the stories. And, I don't have a woman on my staff. I don't have a woman that is a peer that's a CEO. I don't have any of my mentors that doesn't have numerous stories of how they were treated, and certainly the struggles that they've had to overcome. And that's not to negate the struggles that I think every entrepreneur goes through, but there certainly are different layers. When you are either a minority or when you are a woman, there are different challenges that just are not experienced by other people.
Right. I'm so glad that you're so open and you explain this, because a lot of people do not see behind the scenes, and how people are treated, especially females. And for you, kind of speaking your mind, I love it. It's just a inspiration for me, being a man, to growing up in Hawaii. We obviously, one thing about us, we respect, right? Respect everyone, and what respect is due, but do not make us mad, kind of thing, So,
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. Yes.
no,
Well, and I think it's important to tell those stories because you take away the shame and the power when you speak that, right? When you share those stories, it's not, for me, I didn't, sit around and suck my thumb and start crying about it,
right,
right?
right,
It
right,
was
right.
laughable that I was like, oh, this is funny stuff, right? But the problem is, I think for women who are not empowered or who have not necessarily reached that level of maturity in their own leadership journey, it could literally have wrecked my entire day. Instead, it became a funny story that I now share, and my own daughters were like, "He called you what?" So, you know, I'm like, and especially coming from Hawaii, where I feel like women and their curves and
Yeah,
that whole wahine culture is you own that. Are you kidding me? That means you had some good avocado pie growing up.
that's it. That's it, man. I love shape. You know what I mean? Well, man doesn't. But now, what's new or in the future for CBD caring?
I think we are at the point now where, we have distribution throughout Latin America, the European Union. Japan was really important to me. I love
Yes,
any excuse to travel and go, connect
good
with
excuse.
family. So important. And then all 50 US states. And so for us, it's really about scaling and growing. We have over 450 products in market. Everything from a personal lubricant called knob polish for gentlemen, all the way to our comfort cream, which is an award winner for back pain, right? So yeah, we're nothing if we don't have our sense of humor. So a lot of it has just been expanding, and it's certainly a different challenge than I had in the first 5 years, where I was focused on innovating, right? How do I create a product that's going to make every man laugh, right? Now Polish seems to have done it, which is great. And how do I create a product that's going to help people with rheumatoid arthritis and with chronic back pain? And so certainly our comfort cream and our radiant relief appear to really hit that market. And so now it's okay, well, how do I make sure that I'm connecting with as many people as possible and just doing as much good as possible? When the pandemic started, one of the things I'm so proud of this year, if you were to ask, I love talking about what we do because it's so
Awesome.
my heart and soul. My mom was an ICU nurse for 35 years at our local hospital. And so I grew up, around the medical industry and other nurses and things like that. And I know how hard it was, when she would have to come home on Christmases and maybe had lost young people, and it would just be really hard to come home and celebrate Christmas with your
Right,
family.
right,
That's a
right.
12-hour shift. And, we decided, what do we have to give, right? We're not $1 billion, we're not Nike where I can write, huge checks. I can't, hire Serena Williams to wear to use.
Right.
Sorry, I dream of the day Kim Kardashian calls me and wants to endorse our stuff. But, what we could do is our Comfort Cream is our award-winning, best-selling pain cream for back pain. And I remember my mom having to lift, patients and just the aches and pains that go along with being part of a hospital team. And we know that our first responders and our hospital teams are so overworked and underappreciated and at the highest risk of, frankly, bringing COVID home to their families. And so right now, if you go to cbdcaring.com or you go to CBD Caring on Facebook and you are a hospital team member, we send us your name, send us your address, your email. We will send you a Comfort Cream, which is a $130 product, completely for free. And, it's really expanded more than just individuals. The word has gotten out, and I'm so thrilled. We've been shipping cases of 36 units of Comfort Cream out. The VA hospital in LA, one of the largest VA hospitals, just got, I think, their like 15th shipment from us, right?
Right.
And I'm so thrilled because, you're talking about people who are on the front lines in communities. We've now shipped to over 65 major cities throughout the US. And that's what I'm so proud of, because just being able to give back in a small way where someone's
Right.
coming home after a long shift in their community and saying thank you and helping to ease their pain and do what we can do. I think there's something that we all have to give in our communities for those people.
I know, and I understand that you help a lot of nonprofits, and how is that? I mean, you're such a busy woman. I mean, I don't know how you keep a that straight face and like, man, I'm shipping to 60 60 cities, or it's just like it's crazy to me. And
Well, I think a big part of it is, I have such a great team behind me.
good, good.
And we have some amazing people, who come from a very diverse background. And I'm so proud. It really represents kind of the amazing rainbow fabric of our community here in Las Vegas, and also our team out in Florida, that just does a really, really fantastic job of going above and beyond. And I think, I joke all the time that I don't have anybody on our team who doesn't do the work of 10 people, right?
Right.
And they're constantly, giving their all, and, they genuinely care. And it makes it really easy to give that extra effort, to stay 15 minutes longer, to make sure something goes out the day it's ordered. When people care, and I can't train caring. I can train you how to use systems. I can train you how to pack up packages, but I can't train you to actually care about the people who are going to get this. And so everyone on our team has a very personal story about how, they came to be involved with CBD, about why they're so passionate about helping other people. And I think that makes all the difference. The who matters just as much as the why you do.
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking that a lot of us, for myself, being an athlete, a high school athlete, and all the aches and pains, and obviously, being big, a lot of Polynesians are big, and they are. I hear all the football players, hey, my knees, my back. For some reason, I can see some kind of aloha cream, not necessarily polished knob or knob polish, but
Yes.
but for some, I think I can see some kind of aloha cream. Take care of the people. I don't know, the culture or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and we have certainly shipped cases of our product over to the islands. That was first on my list, to make sure that we take care of those hospital teams as well. So, I just think it's, every day about doing everything you can to give your life meaning, and, I think it makes it easy to wake up and have all the energy and be positive. Because we can't control everything, but man, the stuff that we can control can make a big impact in the lives of others.
Right. Now, do you have a store here in Las Vegas, or is just straight shipping?
Yeah, so, we don't have a brick and mortar store. Everything is cbdcaring.com. So certainly you can reach us. We've got 24/7, 365 customer service from our care team, which is wonderful. It's so funny. The last week I've been asked several times, are you a robot? No, I'm I'm the CEO who wakes up at 5 a.m. So I'm responding to things in real time on Facebook. But I actually thought it was the best compliment ever. I was like, wow, somebody thought I was a customer service bot. No, we don't have a store, but, we certainly are sold in quite a few stores, here in Las Vegas. One of our favorites is This Stuff Is Good For You. They have 3 locations throughout Las Vegas and wonderful team. They certainly have carried our products, and, we're so appreciative. It really does take a village, and, we're so grateful for all of the support that we've been able to have.
Now, I know you're a busy woman. I'd just like to thank you very much for joining me today. Again, it's cbdcaring.com, correct?
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.